A little while ago, I made a video about Yuri manga. It's pretty good. But one thing that may not know about that video was that I'd actually left some out. And I'd like to say there was some profound stock footage ass reason for me doing this, but I'm a level with you. I straight up forgot, which is weird because there are some of my favorites in these leftovers. I think I forgot because these ones are so good they sort of transcend the idea of Yuri, which is obviously what I was focusing on in that last video. And yeah, there were some like that in the original video, but the ones that I'm about to talk about are genuinely some of my favorite pieces of just media of all time. If I'm being honest, I'm kind of happy I didn't talk about Mr. Lego in the original video, and if I'm being super honest, I'm kind of sad it's not getting its own dedicated video all to itself. It's such a chaotic, insane, but like super entertaining mess in a good way, but I think I'm not good enough to make a video on only one manga and actually give it the respect it deserves. But if you haven't caught up, I love this manga, and even though I love it so much, I gotta acknowledge that most people won't. Mercy Lego is like the definition of R18 smacks and violence. It's shown at its worst, and even that's a stretch. But hey, I'm the target audience, right? So it makes sense that I would enjoy it. But with that out of the way, let me talk about this thing. Holy shit, this is so chaotic and insane. The world is unforgivingly dark and full of these fucking psychopaths who kill children and any other bad thing you can think of. Can't list out everything because, well, yeah. But just know it gets crazy, okay? It sort of reminds me of Death Tube, if you know that. Except Mercy Lego has much more emphasis on the characters and the story, and isn't quite as gory. Although when you're comparing it to Death Tube, that's probably a good thing. And also, it's actually good. This is our main character, Kuriko Komori. And off the bat, I just love her. There's something about these lean, dominating characters that steal any scene they're in that I just really gravitate towards. Kuriko will constantly be switching between this goofy, fun, and bouncy art style whenever she's not serious, and this sharp and menacing whenever she is. But when you see a shot like this, you know someone's about to die or get like ass fucked or something. This also extends to the second main Hinako Tozakura. It was just really cute. I don't have much else to say there. It's just the manga seems to have this perfect grasp on how to draw super gory and dark and also cute as fuck. The story of Mercy Lego is good. It's nothing groundbreaking. Essentially, a couple of murders happen or someone goes missing, and Kuriko and Hinako are tasked with figuring out what happened. You'd think it would get stale, as most police investigator shows do, but because of the unpredictability of the world they live in and the characters that inhabit it, the things that happen tend to be much more unexpected than what you'd find in your regular police drama. And also, I'm calling it a police drama, but it's not. It's just the closest thing I can think of. It's probably just a regular shonen or something. Now, of course, even with that, it is still a repeating formula. So if you don't enjoy the starting chapters, you're probably not going to enjoy the rest, which is kind of true for every piece of media. Like, if you don't enjoy the first couple of chapters of Demon Slayer or the first 2 John Wick movies, you're probably not going to enjoy the rest. But especially true here, since it relies on the same idea again and again. I personally don't mind, since I like the formula, but completely understandable if you don't. Now, there is one thing about Mercy Lego that I've neglected to talk about so far, and it's the excessive amount of, how do you say, ice cream sandwiches? Funny moments? Sorry, I recently got a warning strike on this channel, so I can't be risking it like I did the last episode. I'm gonna have to use innuendo from now on, so my vocab when it comes to risky subjects might get a bit creative. Anyways, there's an excessive amount of adult woman-on-woman stuff in this manga. Actually, mostly Kuriko on woman action. I mean, can you blame them? But again, yeah, I don't mind it. It wasn't obvious enough by my #1 spot in the last episode, which was on the border of being a hen and tie. But I won't judge you if you decide not to because of it. And one final time, and I'm only saying this because I love this manga so much, my little review here is not going to give this manga justice. If what I've said at all sounds interesting, or you've read something similar and enjoyed it, I highly recommend this one. Now for a manga you might actually enjoy and not my fucking ultra-violence fetish shit. So Do You Want to Go Out, or, although it's not my favorite manga of all time, it's certainly up there. And it's one that stuck with me for a long time now. And yes, I know the official English name is How Do We Relationship, but that name is so cringe, I just... Last video I talked a lot about realism, which may have confused a couple of you, as media is usually about trying to escape life and travel to a different world, so why would I want to be in the same one as my own? I think that's because of the lost potential of life. How do I say this without sounding pretentious? In my videos and streams and stuff, I'll often say, life sucks, or something to that extent. But I think that's less of a factual statement, or an opinion based on as much objectivity as possible, and more just me projecting my anxieties about being alive, and nothing exemplifies that feeling more than this manga. Essentially, this manga is so real that it makes me look in the mirror like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? There's no spice, no gimmicks, you're just watching people in love and enjoying their youth. The story is about Miwa and Saiko, 2 girls attending Lily Pick High School. What the fuck? But it's mostly about the relationship. The main appeal is obviously how realistic it is. I really like it. Reading manga can be stressful, man. Like, the stakes are always rising and insane shit is always happening, but whenever I read a new chapter of this, I know I can just relax and watch these characters try and navigate life. I love the art style. It's like regular manga, but slightly more stylized to the author. This was the first manga I bought in real life as well, which is kind of ironic, I know. I have to keep it in my drawer, otherwise the cover will bend in the sun, and I have nowhere else to put it. When I get a stable income, I'll buy a shelf, which I'm going to put it on, along with anything else I decide to buy it. And again, there are quite a lot of, how do you say, banana split sundaes without the banana in the manga. But if you're mature enough to be reading and enjoying something like this, then I'm sure you can handle it. Hey, I originally had a funny bit where I was gonna talk about the interdimensional time travel machine. I even made a graphic for it, and then Sam was gonna come in with his bit, and he was gonna be part of the alternate reality, and Ran's Discharge was gonna be as well, but she flaked. She straight up said that she just couldn't do it, and now I don't really have a good way of transitioning. So here's Sam's part. Let's go.
I'm going to be talking about Swedish Lightning, which is a 12-volume manga that is written and illustrated by the very talented Guido Amakagure, and is one of, if not the most wholesome manga I have ever read in my entire life. The story is basically just about a high school math teacher, Kohei Inuzuka, his 5-year-old daughter, Tsumugi, and one of Kohei's shy students, Katori Ito. And the plot basically just surrounds these three as they start to develop a sort of like unique family bond due to their similar family circumstances. Kohei is a single dad who was left to raise his young daughter following the death of his wife, and despite his best attempts to cook for Tsumugi, he ends up failing and just starts to rely on convenience store meals. Katori's parents are divorced and her mum owns a restaurant, but is usually out of the house because of work, so Katori often finds herself home alone, having to basically just fend for herself. They soon start cooking and sharing meals together, bonding over the experience, basically just getting to know each other better. And just as a note, this isn't a spoiler or anything, it's pretty obvious from the get-go, but Katori does feel a certain type of way towards Kohei, which does lean into a sort of taboo relationship between student and teacher, but it helps to spice it up and not make it generic slice of life manga number 732. The recipes of these dishes are included in the manga itself. So at the end of every chapter, the author just includes a recipe with cute little illustrations of, you know, whatever the featured dish is of that chapter, and this ranges from a whole bunch of different foods. Like there's Salisbury steak, milk coffee jelly, bread porridge. I mean, there's just a whole lot. I think there's 56 chapters, so there's 56 recipes. But I mean, moving on, it's just a glorified cookbook. This manga is really, really special. As for me personally, there's very few pieces of media can actually make me sympathize and feel emotional, and this manga makes me feel very emotional very often. Basically just seeing Kohei raise his daughter in a time of her life that we ourselves probably don't even remember, that just sort of helps to make the key moments within the story just feel a bit more special, as I often find myself crying along with the characters, especially when Kohei cries over Tsumugi fucking dabbing or some shit, I don't know, whipping nene. It's really sweet, and it definitely hits me in the feels a lot. Probably because, you know, at some point, you know, whenever I finally get some bitches, I'll probably go through the same sort of experiences. Chances are you will too, but that requires you also to get some bitches, so maybe not. But one part of the manga that helps to elevate the emotion is the art, because the art style is very expressive and exaggerates the characters' faces a lot, which is very obvious when you look at some panels of Tsumugi. You know, sometimes it's a bit questionable how much her face is disordered, that it's like, is this even a human anymore? But the author also nails normal character expressions, especially when the characters cry, which is a lot, maybe too much. I honestly can't describe how much I do actually love this manga, and I don't really think I'm qualified to really talk about it. I don't want to undermine or even oversell some parts, so all I can say is that you should definitely give it a read if you haven't.
Now for a fun little history lesson with me, January 8th, 2021. So, about 2 years ago, I gave Real Story of Devil a 10 out of 10 on my Twitter. Twitter. I just finished watching it on Anime Lab, if any of you remember that, and I need to let the world know how much I liked it. And in retrospect, I gotta say, I was so wrong. Man, there's no way this is actually a 10, but I don't know that. Not 100% at least. I refuse to rewatch it out of fear that it sucks. So for the time being, I could just live in this fantasy world where everyone else is just wrong. And I'm the only one who understands the true greatness of this masterpiece. Oh yeah, I haven't actually explained why this thing means so much to me. Well, it was the first Yuri thing that I ever consumed. So really, it's the reason for this whole thing. The last video, this video, and however many hours I've spent reading this shit. And yes, it's not technically a Yuri, but I don't care. I would say my first actual Yuri has got to be Citrus, which is also the most basic answer possible, I know. I mean, it's good enough. It's a lot like Shakespeare, which out of everything I've said so far, probably just pissed the most people off. Shakespeare's stories are the groundwork for every other story ever. I've read my fair share of Shakespeare, and I've even seen a couple plays, and I gotta say, they are boring as fuck, unneedingly complicated, and filled with information that we do not need to know. And of course, all this is also packaged into the fact they have to fucking translate it using a Shakespeare translation site, which at that point, just read a fucking regular book. All of this, by the way, is completely 100% true in the context of school. And casually, they're pretty good. If you enjoy it, I'm not going to fault you, but I do feel like it is a bit pretentious for schools to be pushing it on us. Back to the topic at hand. Citrus is like this in the sense that it holds all the basic components of a good Yuri story. The unlikely situation, but realistic portrayal. Only girls as the main characters. Spice, smacks. Not too much, not too little. Thanos would love this one. That was cringe. I think if you want to read Yuri, but don't want to go all the way to the deep end straight away, then this one's good. One that is very much in the deep end is Skeeter Rabbit. This manga pisses me off because of how much lost potential there is in it. The story is very simple. An extrovert character becomes friends with an introvert through a shared interest, which in this case is dance. The introvert, Chika-chan, knows how to dance, and the extrovert, Usa-san, wants to know, but sucks at it. This is a fairly common setup, but what really sticks out to me is the flow of movement portrayed by the excellent art. How Chika-chan seems to glide across the pages, and how Usa-san awkwardly stumbles through it. It not only shows these characters' unique approach to dancing, but also their mentality while doing it. Chika-chan sees dancing as a set of rules that must be followed to make a good performance, whereas Usa-san sees it as a free canvas to showcase an expression of emotion. This also extends to the regular expressions as well. Now, like the other two, I've decided to leave the art team talk to the end, but unlike the other two, I don't like the stuff in it. Yeah, I know, right? What the fuck's going on? I'm supposed to sit here and just go with the flow with this type of shit. But in this case, the out of bedroom action only causes it to make the story less accessible and honestly cheap. The reason Chika-chan agrees to teach Usa-san to dance is because Usa catches her, how do you say, misusing a shower head. And yes, there are many more of these central StarCraft moments, with a consistent theme of them being that they serve no other purpose than to sexualize 14-year-olds, which is not legal and I do not endorse. But I think worst of all is that it just ends. It goes till like chapter 19, then it just stops. And after doing a bit of research, yep, it was cancelled. I'm not super surprised, but it still sucks. Talking about hard to recommend, this one's a bit far even for me. Younger girl, ex your best friend's mom. I wouldn't be surprised if you unsubscribe to me right now just for bringing it up. If it's any consolation that the characters this time are of age, in my country, at least, the art is good. And like, I mean, the characters aren't bad, right? Like, they're genuinely in love. It's just the fucking age gap, man. Like, the way I'm speaking to you, think I'm about to apologize for grooming or some shit. Talk about how I made a stupid mistake. Perhaps even a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. I've read my fair share of this type of stuff. I don't miscall myself well versed in it. But I gotta say, this one's one of the more nice ones. Nekutamari. This one's really good. If you enjoy slice of life for cats, you'll probably enjoy this one. A woman living with her 3 cats and the funny antics that go along with that. Honestly, most of my enjoyment from this manga probably comes from the fact that I have 3 cats exactly the same as the 3 in the story. Here we have Guapo, who is the latest to my house, and a very lively kitten. My oldest cat, Stella, who just sits around and does nothing all day. And Normal, who hates me. I feel this is a really weird coincidence. Is this the same 3 cat personality everyone has? Anyways, the manga's very cute, and a good one to read if you're feeling especially good. Or especially bad. It's like a happiness booster. Just watching this person live their life surrounded by these 3 cats. The house, the snow, the rain. As a cat myself, it is very relatable. I gotta say, I really like this manga. I just love it. I love it so much. Did you notice that that was a separate take entirely? It's been a couple days. Apparently that was essentially where it was supposed to end. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I don't really have much else to say there. See you.